Welcome back, everyone. We're diving into something pretty epic this time. Plutarch's Parallel Lives.
Oh, this is a good one.
Yeah, it's not just any history book. It's like who's who in the ancient world, Greeks and Romans matched up. We'll be using Plutarch, of course, but also the Wikipedia entry on Parallel Lives to get the full picture.
Makes sense. See what Plutarch himself says. How folks have viewed the work over time.
Exactly. So we're talking famous pairings, like putting Alexander the Great side by side with, say, Julius Caesar.
Oh, that's classic Plutarch. He didn't just lay out the facts. He wanted to explore how these figures' characters, good and bad, shaped their destinies.
So less about dates and battles, more about how personality drove their paths.
You got it. Like, were they ambitious, reckless, virtuous? How did that play out?
Compare Demosthenes, the incredible orator, with Cicero on the Roman side. Plutarch illuminates what they had in common, their weaknesses and ultimately their legacies.
And Plutarch himself was more than just a biographer, wasn't he?
Oh, way more. This guy was a philosopher, a historian,
Yep.
even an Apollonian priest. Now that one sounds intense. What did that even entail back then?
Good question. Serving Apollo, the god of reason and order, probably had a huge impact on how Plutarch saw the world. That emphasis on character and destiny, you can see it woven all through his work. And what's interesting is Parallel Lives wasn't even his first set of biographies.
Oh, really? What came before?
He actually did a set on Roman emperors before this. Only problem is, only 2 of those lives have survived, Galba and Otho.
Ah, so we're lucky to have so much more to work with in Parallel Lives.
Exactly. And the structure is so cool. Each pair has one Greek, one Roman folks with similar paths. Then Plutarch gives us a comparison. It's like he's setting up a historical matchup.
Makes you want to scorecard it. Who wins in terms of virtue or lasting impact?
Right. But even with what we have, there are still some gaps. Like the lives of Epaminondas and one of the Scipio Africanus are lost, and some others are incomplete.
Always makes you wonder what else is out there, hidden away somewhere.
Totally. But even with that, what we do have is praised for its lively writing. Plutarch didn't just give us dry facts.
Yeah, I've heard that his Life of Alexander is a prime example.
Yeah.
Super engaging, with anecdotes you won't find anywhere else. A must-read if you really want to get Alexander the Great.
Totally agree. And that personal touch is everywhere, even in his Life of Caesar. That's one of the main sources we have on Caesar's achievements. And it's packed with gripping stories about Caesar and the soldiers under him.
Oh, and speaking of those soldiers, there's this passage about their loyalty and bravery. Just incredible. I mean, was this typical, or was Plutarch trying to make a point?
I think Plutarch definitely used these stories to show the power of Caesar's leadership. He created incredible bonds with his troops, like crazy devotion.
I can imagine, like the stories of Silius. This soldier, he lost his hand in a naval battle, right?
Yeah, but get this, he kept fighting.
Wait, seriously?
He used his shield to keep enemies away, and he even helped capture their ship. Plutarch was showing the kind of men who serve Caesar, their character.
He lost a hand and still kept going. I mean, that's some serious dedication. Was that typical for Roman soldiers, that resilience, or was this guy just superhuman?
Well, this guy was definitely courageous. And then you have Cassius Scaeva at the Battle of Dyrrhachium. Arrow to the eye, javelin to the shoulder, another to the thigh. Plus, over 100 missiles hit his shield.
Okay, now this guy sounds superhuman.
And he still outsmarted 2 enemies. Cut off one guy's shoulder, sent the other one running. Finally, his comrades rescued him. Plutarch wasn't just sharing battle stats, he was highlighting these soldiers' incredible characters.
Yeah, painting a very specific picture of the Roman military for sure. And did he have any other examples to illustrate this?
Oh, yeah. There's this scene from the campaign in Britain. Some of Caesar's centurions were trapped in a marsh, surrounded. And right in front of Caesar, this soldier, he just charges in to save them.
No way.
Yeah.
That's crazy brave. Was this like a common thing? Soldiers risking it all to impress Caesar? Or was there something more to it?
Well, the soldier fought like crazy, routed the enemy, saved the centurions. But it's what happens next that really shows you what the Roman military was about. He goes back to Caesar totally distraught, begging forgiveness because he lost his shield.
Ah, right. Losing your shield was a huge disgrace. It meant abandoning your comrades, like failing your duty.
Exactly. And to show you just how seriously the Romans took this, Plutarch gives us another example. Rainius Petro, a quaestor. Scipio captured him in Africa and offered him his life. Granius refused, said Caesar's soldiers offer mercy, not receive it, and he took his own life rather than surrender.
That's intense. Talk about a code of honor. But Plutarch didn't just focus on military figures, right? He compared all sorts of people.
Oh, absolutely. He saw parallels everywhere, like Lycurgus of Sparta, the lawgiver, paired with Numa Pompilius of Rome, who also established laws and religious stuff. Plutarch was fascinated by how individuals, no matter their field, could really shape society.
It's like he's saying, hey, we can learn from these guys even if they lived centuries ago.
Totally. He pairs people from different cultures, different times even, and shows us their ambitions, struggles, triumphs. It's a reminder that being human goes beyond time and place.
So if we're talking about these iconic pairings, which ones are, like, the most famous?
A few jump out right away. You've got Theseus, the mythical founder of Athens, matched up with Romulus, Rome's legendary founder. Then there's Alcibiades, the Athenian general, brilliant but flawed, paired with Coriolanus, who had that same ambitious but ultimately exiled trajectory. And of course, the big one, Alexander the Great and Julius Caesar.
Now, those are some heavy hitters. It's like watching an epic historical drama unfold. And we can't forget about Demosthenes and Cicero, right? The masters of public speaking going head-to-head. It's funny, though, how opinions differ on which lives are considered Plutarch's best.
Oh, absolutely. Those pairings are popular, but the cool thing about parallel lives is that every reader finds their own favorites. Some folks love the life of Antonius. Some think the life of Caesar is the top one.
I even read that some scholars call Plutarch's depiction of Alcibiades a masterpiece of characterization. Makes you want to go back and read it with fresh eyes.
Totally. The depth and richness of Plutarch's writing means there's no one best life. People find their own personal connections.
Sounds like Parallel Lives is one of those works you can keep coming back to throughout your life, always discovering something new. But it's more than just a bunch of interesting stories, right? There's a bigger message here.
Oh, for sure. At its heart, Parallel Lives is about the human condition. Those things that stay the same no matter the time period. He shows us that even these figures who led ages ago dealt with stuff we still deal with today.
So it's not just about ancient history. It's about gaining insights into human nature, period.
Precisely. Looking at the choices and consequences of these figures, it gives us a new perspective on our own lives. It's like Plutarch's holding up a mirror saying, hey, look at these guys, their virtues, their flaws. Think about the paths you choose.
I like that, the mirror analogy. It's like he's saying, these were real people dealing with issues we still face. Can we learn from their wins, avoid their mistakes? But isn't that a bit, I don't know, presumptuous? Can we really apply lessons from ancient times to our modern world?
That's a great question. I bet Plutarch himself thought about that. He wasn't saying to just copy the past blindly, but he believed that by studying those who came before us, we gain a deeper understanding of ourselves and the challenges we face. Parallel Lives isn't just a history book. It's a timeless look at human nature and how powerful it is.
So for our listeners who are itching to dive into Parallel Lives, where would you recommend they start?
I'd say pick a pairing that grabs your attention, maybe one with a historical figure you already admire, or a period that you're interested in. There are so many amazing stories to uncover, so many insights to gain. You might even learn something new about yourself in the process.
That's what I love about these deep dives. There's always something new to learn, something to explore. Thanks for taking us through Plutarch's Parallel Lives with us.
My pleasure. Always happy to dive into these fascinating topics.
It really does make you think, doesn't it? The lasting impact of these stories, the insights they give us. But I've heard some folks say that Plutarch sometimes, stretched the truth a bit for a better story. Like, he wasn't always super accurate historically.
Yeah, that's a common criticism of Plutarch. And it's true that he cared more about those moral lessons and exploring character than sticking to every single fact. He saw himself as a philosopher using history, not a historian trying to be perfectly objective.
So more interested in the why behind the what, understanding what made these people tick, even if it meant adding a little drama.
Exactly. He wanted to reveal who these people really were, their motivations, their flaws. Even if that meant tweaking a detail here or there, that's what makes Parallel Lives so engaging, even if some modern historians might disagree with his methods.
It's like he was creating a psychological portrait of these figures, going beyond the facts to get to the human element. But his work wasn't just about individual lives, right? He tackled bigger themes too, like fate versus free will.
Oh, definitely. Plutarch was fascinated by how these individuals dealt with the idea of fate and the choices they made within those boundaries. Did their actions determine their destiny, or were they just swept along by forces beyond their control? We still ask those questions today.
It really is something to think about. How much control do we actually have over our own lives? But let's get back to those pairings for a minute. You mentioned Alcibiades and Coriolanus. What parallels did Plutarch draw between these two ambitious dudes?
Well, they were both super talented, rose to prominence in their societies, but also they could be pretty proud and reckless. But their stories end up going in very different directions. Alcibiades, despite his flaws, was forgiven and called back to Athens when they really needed him. Coriolanus, on the other hand, was eaten up by resentment, and his pride led to his exile.
It really shows how ambition, when it's not kept in check, can lead to a downfall. It's a good reminder that even brilliant people can be undone by their own weaknesses. But not all of Plutarch's pairings were about these super dramatic figures, right? What about the people who shaped society through their ideas, not military might?
Plutarch knew that thinkers and philosophers had a huge impact too. Look at his comparison of Demosthenes and Cicero. They were both masters of public speaking. They used words as weapons to sway people and influence events.
Like they were fighting their own battles, but in the realm of ideas, not on a battlefield. And their words still resonate today. People study their speeches, admire their eloquence.
Absolutely. Their ability to move audiences shows the power of language and rhetoric. And Plutarch doesn't ignore their weaknesses. Both could be pretty vain and ambitious, which sometimes overshadowed their better qualities.
It's a good reminder that even the most celebrated people are complex. They have flaws, but maybe it's those flaws that make them feel more real, more relatable.
You're right. And that's what makes Plutarch's writing so powerful. He doesn't portray these figures as perfect heroes or total villains. He lets us see their humanity, their struggles, their moments of greatness, and yeah, their weaknesses too.
Makes you wonder, does studying these lives from the past actually give us any guidance for our own lives? Can we learn from their good qualities and avoid their mistakes?
That's a question Plutarch wrestled with, and it's one that people still think about today. We can't just copy what these historical figures did, but their stories can definitely serve as warnings. They make us think about our own values, our goals, and the legacy we want to leave behind.
It's like having a conversation across time, isn't it? We're engaging with these people, their triumphs, their tragedies, and maybe even finding parts of our own lives reflected in their stories. But let's be real, some pairings are just more, well, interesting than others. Are there any that Plutarch himself seemed to be especially drawn to?
It's funny you should say that. Some scholars think Plutarch was particularly interested in Alexander the Great and Julius Caesar. Both were brilliant military leaders who built huge empires. But their lives also show the dangers of unchecked ambition and how fleeting power can be.
It's like a Shakespearean tragedy playing out in real life. They achieved incredible things, but both met untimely ends. It makes you think, what would Plutarch have to say about leaders today? Could he find parallels between those ancient leaders and the ones shaping our world now?
Wow, that's a great question. I think Plutarch would be fascinated by the complexities of modern leadership. He'd probably point out that the challenges of balancing ambition with morality, navigating tricky political situations, and dealing with the burden of responsibility are things that never really change. But he wouldn't just offer simple comparisons. He'd dig into the details, the personalities, the choices that define leadership in any era.
Makes you want to give him a newspaper and see what he'd think. But we can't forget that Plutarch wasn't writing in a vacuum. His work was influenced by his own culture and philosophical beliefs.
Oh, absolutely. It's important to remember that he was writing during the Roman Empire in the 1st century AD. Stoic philosophy, which emphasized things like virtue, reason, and accepting fate, had a big impact on him. And those values are woven all through parallel lives.
So even though he's looking at lives from ancient Greece and Rome, his own perspective as a Roman citizen living under imperial rule definitely colored his interpretations. It's a reminder that how we see history is always influenced by our own time and place.
Exactly. And that's why it's crucial to read historical texts critically. We need to think about the author's biases and the context they were writing in. But even with those things in mind, Parallel Lives is still a powerful work. It shows the enduring power of storytelling and the insights it can give us into what it means to be human.
It reminds us that history isn't just about dates and battles. It's about the people who lived, loved, fought, and shaped the world we live in. And through Plutarch's writing, those people come alive. Their stories connect with us, even though they lived centuries ago.
It's amazing, isn't it, how a work written so long ago can still have such a big impact. What do you think resonates most with modern readers when they pick up Parallel Lives?
I'd say his exploration of ambition and its consequences really hits home, especially today. I mean, we're kind of obsessed with achievement and success, right?
Totally. And when Plutarch looks at guys like Alexander the Great and Julius Caesar, it's almost like a warning, like, be careful what you wish for.
Right. Like, yeah, you might conquer the world, but what are you sacrificing along the way?
Hmm.
Makes you examine your own motivations, what you're willing to give up for power and glory. But Plutarch didn't just focus on the big names, the powerful people. He looked at more ordinary lives, too.
Oh, absolutely. He found value in all sorts of lives, like everyday people, not just the ones who changed history. For example, he compares Cato the Elder with Aristides. He uses them to show the importance of integrity and standing up for what you believe in, even when things get tough.
It's like a reminder that real greatness isn't always about what you achieve, but about the kind of person you are, the choices you make when things are hard. And speaking of choices, one of the things I find so interesting about parallel lives is how Plutarch puts these figures at these crucial points in their lives. They've got these tough decisions to make, and those decisions have huge consequences.
Those crossroads moments are so powerful. You see fate and free will kind of colliding. It makes Plutarch's writing so gripping. He makes you think, what would I have done? How would I have handled that ethical dilemma, that responsibility?
It's like he turns the reader into an active participant, not just a passive observer.
Exactly. You're not just reading about history, you're wrestling with these same questions and challenges that people faced centuries ago. That's why Parallel Lives is still so relevant. It's not just a history lesson, it's an invitation to look inward, to think about our own values, our choices, the paths we're on.
It's like he's saying, the past isn't dead and gone. It's full of wisdom, insight, and maybe even inspiration for how to live our lives today.
Well said. I think that's the biggest takeaway from Plutarch. He wants us to see that these historical figures, these people from long ago, they were just like us. They struggled with the same things: fate, ambition, finding meaning.
It's a reminder that we're all part of this bigger story, this chain of human experience. And by engaging with those stories, those lives, maybe we can find some guidance, some comfort, some connection to something bigger than ourselves. So if someone out there is feeling inspired and wants to pick up parallel lives, what advice would you give them?
I'd say go in with an open mind. Be ready to engage with these stories on different levels.
Right.
Don't just get caught up in the facts or the moral lessons. Pay attention to the details of their personalities, their motivations, their flaws. Those are the things that make them so interesting.
It's about seeing them as real people, not just figures in a history book. And maybe, by looking at their lives, we can learn more about ourselves and the challenges that we all face as humans.
Well, I think we've reached the end of our deep dive into Plutarch's parallel lives. It's been an incredible journey exploring these fascinating people and the insights their stories offer.
It really has. And I hope our listeners are now inspired to explore parallel lives for themselves and see what timeless wisdom they can find.
Who knows, maybe they'll even discover some parallels to their own lives in those pages. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive, everyone. We'll see you next time, ready to explore another fascinating corner of history, philosophy, literature. Who knows where our curiosity will lead us next?